Hello, beautiful souls. How are you guys doing? Welcome. And today I'm very excited because I have a very juicy and exciting topic to discuss. And today is all about ET's disclosure and the mass revelation of truth that has been pending for decades now. And all of this will be unfolding before our eyes, I believe, within the next 5 to 10 years. So if you're new to this channel, I welcome you. And I invite you to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified about all of our upcoming videos. And if you've been following us for a while, thank you for your support. Please do comment and share, as that really helps with the algorithms and helps us spread awareness of these kind of topics. So, the information that I'm presenting today is mainly downloaded from my conversations or my channelings from the Pleiadian Archangel Collective and the White Wing Lion Collective of Sirius B. These are both groups of ascended beings who are have been working very closely with humanity for the last hundreds of thousands of years. They've been watching over our evolution, and they are very interested to help humanity ascend. They're angelic-like beings. They're from societies who are millions of years advanced as compared to humanity, technologically and spiritually. And these beings also preside over the councils of light in our galaxy. And the councils of light are, you may have heard of groups such as the Council of 12, the Council of 9, and there are many such councils that are the decision makers of the angelic realms. And these beings are also the key decision makers for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. The Galactic Federation of Worlds is kind of like a police force of this galaxy, and the higher angelic tribes and the councils of light are the decision makers. So just to give you a high-level overview, some of the topics we'll be covering today are the dimensional veils are thinning between the third dimension and the fourth dimension, which is the astral realm, how this is affecting humanity. And also we'll give an overview of the galactic perspective of the events currently unfolding on planet Earth. And everyone wants to know, are the good guys winning? Are the bad guys winning? So we're going to go into a bit of depth on that topic. Also, the main topic of today is ET disclosure, which is imminent. Our government is currently preparing the population for a major announcement about extraterrestrials and how we're not alone in this universe. However, there's also a dark opposition that is making plans to further control humanity because it's their last-ditch attempt for control. And for the most part, their attempts are failing. However, there are a few things that we need to be aware of in the next few years. And overall, I'm just going to provide in this video a very high-level overview of how I see events unfolding in the next 5 to 10 years based on information that I've received from the Galactics themselves. Now, to give you an overview on the topic of disclosure, as of 2023, our government has openly declared that they have been openly visited by extraterrestrials over the last couple of decades. And the official story is that they have suppressed this information from the public in order to avoid mass panic and fear. We believe there is currently drip disclosure taking place, which means that information is being leaked through unofficial sources in order to prepare humanity before a large-scale public announcement is released. Mass UFO sightings have become very prominent and very common. People have been reporting sightings and recording them from their cameras and sharing them on social media widely. Very recently, it was in the mainstream news that a family in Las Vegas reported a 10-foot tall alien being walking around in their backyard, and they saw strange lights in the sky. This was covered widely on a mainstream public news channel, and the news has become very vocal about UFO sightings, and they're no longer suppressing this information. So I believe this is all part of preparing the public for a mass disclosure event. And most of the public already realize that we're not alone. It's just that the government hasn't gone ahead and said anything about it. In addition to that, I believe there's also a dark government or a shadow government that conspiracy theorists have been talking about for many decades. And if you talked about these topics 5 years ago, nobody would believe you. But now it has become mainstream knowledge that there is a shadow government that has been controlling the population. It has been suppressing information from humanity, and they're also planning to roll out a fake alien invasion to inject fear into the public consciousness before the official declaration from the benevolent Galactics takes place. And I believe one of the very likely scenarios before we have official disclosure about the benevolent ET races, is that the Dark Ones are planning the rollout of a fake alien invasion. And their main intention is to inject mass fear and panic into the public. And I believe that their main agenda here is to convince the public that the aliens are our enemies and that we need to defend ourselves against them, which couldn't be farther from the truth. I personally have been assured by the Pleiadians and the Syrian emissaries of the light that the Ascension is very well on track. Humanity is just currently going through a dark night of the soul, which is also part of our spiritual growth and evolution. And once we get over this dark night of the soul and we learn how to recognize all of our fears and all of our shadows, then we will be actually ready to meet the Galactics face to face, because we need to be of a certain vibration in order to connect with the Galactics. And I believe the official and the real first contact with benevolent ET species will begin to take place somewhere close to 2030 to 2033. Now, in order to fully comprehend the topic of disclosure, we also have to wrap our head around the fact that humanity is currently going through a massive shift in consciousness, and humanity is on the brink of a massive spiritual awakening. And what this really means is that we're going from the third dimension of consciousness, which is duality, to the fifth dimension of consciousness, which is unity consciousness. So duality is all based on separation and fear, which we've been living in for the last 25,000 years. And unity consciousness, which is where we're going over the next decade, is all about love, it's all about harmony, and it's all about worldwide peace. Now you might be wondering, I've heard of the third dimension, but what is the fourth dimension, and what is the 5D, and what is 5D unity consciousness, right? So let me explain that. The fourth dimension is just one octave higher than our physical realm. And the fourth dimension contains negative beings as well as positive beings. And the fourth dimension can also be thought of as the unseen spiritual realm. This is actually the realm where our souls travel to when we are sleeping. So it's the realm where our souls travel to in our dream state. And within the astral realms, we have many different layers. So the lower levels of the 4D astral realm are the negative realms. And these negative realms are mainly occupied by demonic entities and disincarnate souls. So these are all kinds of dark beings that have been artificially created. And these beings have the ability to interact with humans who are in a low frequency. So humans who are mostly walking around in a lower vibration of fear, separation, and anger are prone to being possessed or are prone to being influenced by these negative astral beings. However, individuals who are centered in joy, centered in gratitude, centered in happiness and love have more of a spiritual protection around them, because these negative astral and demonic beings do not have the ability to pierce through the shield of love. So they look for louche energy, or they look for negative emotional energy of low frequency individuals. And in addition to that, they're also able to manipulate individuals by keeping them locked in states of low vibrational fear so that they can feed off their energy. I also personally believe that the 5G cell phone technology that has been established all around the world by now, this is also causing leaks in our aura, and it is causing us to become more prone to attack and possession by these demonic entities. Now, demonic possessions, entity possessions, nightmares are becoming more and more commonplace and are being reported by many people around the world right now. And there was also a recent video on the news that went viral. This video showed a woman who was on board a Delta airline, and she was talking to a guy in a green hoodie, and she reported that his face changed and he was shape-shifting into a reptilian being right in front of her eyes. And it freaked her out, and she literally exited the plane after making a scene. And many people caught that incident. They didn't catch the shape shifting on camera, but they caught her emotions, and it seems very valid and real what she went through. And also, our experiences with the astral dimension are no longer being kept secret by the government either. The CIA has officially disclosed documents showing that they have been experimenting with astral travel for decades, and they have officially developed the ability to train individuals on how to astral travel, and this can be achieved very easily. And many people who are going through a spiritual awakening right now have developed the ability to astral travel, and it's becoming a commonplace practice right now. Now, I also understand that there are many people who dismiss such ideas as nonsensical and illogical, but I invite you to keep an open mind because it has been scientifically shown that there are limits to what our five senses can experience. Most of our universe, or what we call reality, exists within a broad range of frequencies that go way beyond our five senses. There are many beings in higher dimensional planes which are angelic in nature, and there are many beings which are in the lower astral fields which are demonic in nature. And currently in our population, so many people have already experienced this spiritual awakening and are openly discussing these kind of incidents in public forums. So the truth can no longer be denied, and it is only a matter of time before the rest of the population wakes up to this reality and begins to experience it firsthand themselves. Now, these negative demons and entities that exist within the lower astral planes of the fourth dimension, these are the very beings that Satanists are calling upon in their satanic rituals. I believe currently there's a huge backlash from the shadow government. These are the people who've been trying to control humanity by suppressing information from us. And they're also involved in many satanic rituals, which are kind of like putting curses and black magic on humanity in order to infuse more fear, panic, and anxiety in the mass public. And this is the reason why many people right now are waking up with pangs of anxiety and fear and nightmares, because there's a lot of distortion in the energy fields around Earth, and it is being caused by those who wish to keep us suppressed. Now, I realized that if I had spoken about these kind of topics 5 years ago, then they would probably be banned or dismissed. However, right now, this kind of information is becoming very widespread and common knowledge. And even people who are not spiritually awakened are beginning to realize that there is some truth behind these topics. And people are beginning to realize that they better wake up and smell the coffee, otherwise they will be completely unaware and left behind. And also these kind of incidents, whether it's a spiritual encounter with an angelic being or a dark being, people are having more and more and more of these encounters, and they cannot deny the truth. So these events are causing billions of people to begin to wake up and start talking about these topics. And the topics that used to be classified as conspiracy theories are now beginning to become mainstream knowledge. Now, from the perspective of the Galactics, there are three kinds of people in our society. The first category is people who are completely controlled, and they just don't question the narrative. They believe whatever the news and the media presents to them, and they go along with the official story. For example, 5 years ago, they would have believed that we're alone in this universe. But today, because the media is showing fearful representations of UFO encounters, now suddenly they're believing the official story saying aliens are our enemies. Now, the official term for these kind of people is non-player characters. And what that means is that they're human bodies without souls. Or they have a soul, but their divine spark is so dim that they don't use their own intellectual capabilities and just go along with whatever is told to them. And these are the kind of people that are mainly targeted by the dark ones because they're very easy to manipulate. Now, the second group of people, and these are the kind of people who are walking around in a semi-awake state. So they're kind of awakened, they're on the brink of awakening, but they're not awakened enough in order to make any changes in their life. So these kind of people may be silently questioning the official narrative, but they're not doing anything about it. They're still computing. It means they're on the verge of an awakening, but they haven't awakened enough to make any positive changes in their life. And they still go along with what they're told. So the second group of people are the kind of people who would get the jab just to keep their job, even though they suspect that there's something off with the jab. And these kind of people are also very easily controlled by the dark ones because they're walking around in a semi-awake state. Their soul is not fully occupying their body. And what happens is that when your soul's light is not fully occupying your body, then dark beings can come in and they can take over and they can manipulate your thoughts and emotions and they can keep you in a low frequency state. So these people are also fully controlled in the second category. Now, the third category of people is the one that the Galactics and the Angelics are most interested in. And this group of people is spreading like wildfire because their beliefs are contagious. And these are the people like you and I who've had a spiritual awakening, who are curious about topics such as this, and who are watching channels like this one and other awakening channels that are spreading the truth. And people like us, we just refuse to comply unless something makes sense within our own mind, within our own consciousness. And we don't just do as we're told. We are the ones who rely on our own power and authority. And we don't just blindly give our power away to others who are trying to control us. And these are the kind of people who are impossible to control because they have retained their sovereignty. And these are the kind of people who cannot be controlled by an outside force no matter what. Because these are the kind of people who have taken their power back and their full sovereignty back. Now, I believe currently where humanity is at right now is that more and more people are awakening, but they're getting stuck in the second category of people where they're semi-awake, they know something is off, but they're not doing anything to question the official narrative. And it is of utmost importance that humanity makes the jump into the third category of fully awake and aware people who are ready to take joint action, who are ready to create new 5D communities based on peace, freedom, happiness, and love, and abundance, and prosperity for all. Because what's happening is that many people are awake, but they're not doing anything to make a positive change in their life. And unfortunately, to get these kind of people out of their comfort zone, a massive negative or scare event is necessary on our planet before humanity is shocked into awakening. And the intel I'm getting from the Galactics is that over the next few years, it could happen in the remainder of 23, it could happen in 24, most likely in 24, but maybe in 25. But the direction that our world is most likely going towards right now is that humanity needs a massive shock or scare event that will be most likely unrolled by the Dark Ones in order to suppress us. However, it will backfire and not have its intended effects. Instead, it will awaken humanity and it will cause us to realize that we all must work together in order to go to the next steps. And this could be anything from an economic collapse or Project Bluebeam style UFO takeover where we see aliens invading us, or a similar massive scare event that is widely publicized in the news and media outlets, and it's intended to further impose control and fear into our population. However, the good news behind this is that have also been shown by the Galactics that when such a massive scare event takes place around the world, many people will begin to see through the bullshit, because humanity has reached at this point the level of self-awareness that is just enough that we can't be fooled anymore. And this will play in our favor. And I also believe that, let's say for example, a massive UFO takeover is staged by the media. I believe this will cause humanity to lose trust and faith in the media, and they will drop the mainstream media altogether. And they will also realize that there are many truths that have been suppressed from humanity for many decades. And when all these truths come out, it's going to cause a massive, massive awakening in the years 2026, 27, 28, and onwards. And from there, things get very exciting. Now, currently on the world stage, we're at a point where we just came out of 2 to 3 years of forced lockdowns, which were imposed upon society by these shadow governments in order to control us and keep us small. And they also imposed forced jabs upon us under the threat of losing our jobs or losing the ability to travel freely if we refuse the jab. So most people who found themselves in this position were forced to take the jab because they needed to continue to provide for their family or have their freedom revoked. So they didn't have much of a choice. However, what's happened because of the events of the last 2 to 3 years is that many people are begun to reflect on how this is a violation of our human rights, and they're beginning to question the official narrative, and this is a very good sign. However, in order to make the jump and leap of consciousness, we have to go from being just casual observers and bystanders while knowing that something's wrong. We have to become action takers and decision makers. So more and more people are going to continue to wake up over the next couple of years and begin to join the growing number of people who are forming their own communities, who are forming their own societies. Now, because of the events of the last couple of years, many people have begun to share the truth openly on social media channels such as this. And this has grown into such a large movement that initially the government thought they could just suppress it by using the brute force of censorship. But even censorship was not working because so many people were beginning to share the truth, and the more that the officials tried to censor the truth, the more people jumped towards it. So now the Dark Ones are realizing that they're not going to win this game through brute force. So they're using more refined tactics in order to control us. So the strategy that the Dark Ones are now beginning to use is that they're beginning to inject their own people into the New Age movement and the Truth movement. So for example, what that might look like is in the UFO and disclosure and ET community, there are many people from the opposition who have infiltrated, and they're pretending to be light workers, they're pretending to be truthers, but they're spreading false information based on fear. And they have the agenda to now misguide the public under the pretense that information is being released, but the wrong information is going to be released. And this is very important information for people like you and I to be aware of, is that over the next few years, there will be a rise to fake New Age leaders or people spreading false news and information under the guise of being light workers and under the guise of helping humanity, but they're still working for the dark opposition. So this is a time when humanity really has to sharpen their discernment for truth, and they really have to be able to discern between what's false and what does not resonate. And this is where your spiritual awareness comes in. This is where your groundedness and being in your body comes in. And if you keep yourself out of the vibration of fear and in a higher vibration, in the vibration of joy, love, peace, and happiness, then your consciousness will also become more and more sensitive, and your bullshit meter will be more acute. So this is how you sharpen your spiritual senses in order to discern the truth from the falsehoods. Now, I also wanted to bring up the topic of Project Bluebeam here, because this has become a secret CIA project that is no longer so secret anymore, and it's very widely discussed in public forums, and it has been exposed. And what Project Bluebeam is that it is a plan developed by the CIA decades ago, where they would use holographic technology to stage a worldwide UFO mass scare event. So one possible theory was that a massive fleet of UFOs would expose themselves over Washington, and the official media would inject fear and panic into the public by saying that aliens are trying to invade the world and we need to defend ourselves against them and try to create a warlike situation. Now, I'm not completely sure if this is still going to be rolled out, because currently so many people in the population have either fully awakened or begun to question the official narrative that such an event, even if it is allowed to roll out in the mass public, it'll be immediately questioned and it'll be rejected by most of the people in the public. And instead of creating fear and panic, such an event could unite people against the shadow government and expose their truth. Now, the Galactics have also shared with me that whether or not this fake alien invasion kind of scenario is allowed to unfold or not, whatever happens, humanity is currently moving in a direction where we're going to eventually see through all the lies and deceit that we have been fed so far, and this will cause a massive awakening in our consciousness. And this mass awakening in consciousness I see happening after the 888 portal, which is August 8th, 2024. And I see the years 2025 and 2026 as years where humanity experiences a massive worldwide spiritual awakening. Now, this is very exciting news for humanity, because once we reach a level of consciousness where most of the population is awake and aware of the truth, the rest of the population will simply catch on. And we are approaching this point very quickly. So overall, I'm being shown a trend where there will be a massive awakening taking place in the years 25 and 26. And then in the years 2027 to 2033 are the years when the official worldwide contact by benevolent galactic races will take place, and humanity will experience official first contact with the benevolent ETs and galactics, which is very, very exciting news, and I'm really looking forward to that. Now, if all of what I'm talking about seems too far-fetched for you and it's expanding your mind a bit, I invite you to Google what is known as Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and you will see that there's many groups around the world which have already begun to establish first contact in small private circles, and this is becoming a very common widespread practice. Now, what happens in Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is that galactics are beginning to reveal themselves to humanity in small batches. The requirements of this taking place from the galactics are that small group of private individuals get together and they set the intention to have an encounter with the benevolent ET ship. And they obviously can't do this in the middle of a park in a big city. So this group of individuals has to meet in a remote location which is away from society, where ships can be revealed in the sky and they won't be seen by mainstream society. And I've not only seen reports of ships being visible in the sky to such private groups, but I can also personally attest that I have had my own first-hand encounter with a galactic ET benevolent ship. And it was a visitation in Mount Shasta sometime in the year 2018 or 2019, where I was with a group of 20 other individuals. And we all saw a spaceship in broad daylight reveal itself to us. And it was literally parked in the sky above Mount Shasta for 2 hours in the middle of broad daylight. So such UFO encounters are becoming more and more common. And this is all preparation from the Galactics so that humanity is not shocked when official first contact takes place. So overall, in conclusion, I just wanted to end by saying that this is indeed one of the most exciting times in history to be alive. And we are on the brink within the next 5 years to see history unfold before our very eyes. And you and I will be amongst those people who say we were the generation who experienced first contact, and after that everything changed. So the Galactics have shared that the time of hardship is only there for the next couple of years, and these are just the growing pains that we all must go through in order to collectively experience a spiritual awakening into the fifth dimension of unity consciousness. And the future indeed looks very bright for humanity. I believe that by the end of this decade, by 2030 or so, most of the population will have awakened. We will be fully aware that we're not alone in this universe. Most of us, if not all of us, will already have had a first-hand experience with benevolent galactics. And I also believe that this fear-based leadership that imposes control over society will be a thing of the past. The people of this world will unite and declare their sovereignty. There will be no more division based on countries or based on religion, based on the color of our skin or our social status. And all human beings will unite as one giant family, because according to the Galactics, we are a single species. They don't see us as different from each other. But all of these separations will melt away, and we will see the end of war, poverty, starvation, and struggle. All of these things will be completely eliminated from our society. There will also be the release of many technologies that have been suppressed from humanity, such as anti-gravity, such as free unlimited energy, and replicators that can provide us with food and clothing. So basically, we're going to be watching the unfolding of a golden era of peace and harmony for thousands and thousands of years. And that is very exciting to me. So thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. And I would love to hear from you in the comments about your own experiences, if you've had any spiritual experiences, or if you've had experiences with unexplained phenomenon, or even experiences with UFOs or ETs. I would love to hear about them. And I'm also planning to make another video on all the suppressed technologies that have been held back from humanity, because once these technologies are released, our entire society will change, and it will have profound impacts on every single aspect of your life.